Oh yes, legends, how's everybody doing? Make sure to absolutely destroy that like button, guys. If you do enjoy the content, we'll be analyzing the situation here because in my personal opinion, we are at a very dangerous stage of the bull market, okay? And I want you to pay full attention on this live stream because we'll be going through higher time frame scenarios here that are crucial for you to understand, okay? Let's go right away and say hello to the beautiful community here. Eventually, as always, put a bit of background music. It is Friday today. How is everyone doing, guys? Much love to everybody. Let's get some people joining here, the live stream right away, and say hello to the beautiful community. Pinetopia, I liked the stream because I like it. Absolute legend here. Liking the stream because he likes it. Absolute legend. We got Mattia here, the absolute legend himself. In the comment section, make sure to go and check out Mattia's channel, guys. CBM, Crypto by Mattia. He's a legend himself. Daniel Singleton, much love to you, brother. We're going to discuss many things today, guys. Mainly Bitcoin, also Ethereum. We're going to be taking a look at the total 3 market capitalization. We're taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance, which is at a very, very crucial pivot here that could get a bounce. And I know everybody's extremely excited, right? We should be positioned on altcoins without a doubt, on spots, right? The bull market to continue. Bitcoin to hit all-time high is the highest probability before the end of the year, okay? We understand that. I still hold most of my Bitcoin spot positions. That is where I have most of my net worth, guys, okay? Bitcoin followed by Chainlink and Ethereum. Bitcoin chart on the higher time frame. All-time high is the highest probability. We'll be talking about the medium time frame because we still have the technical potential of going down below 107K, guys, okay? It needs to be talked about. When will this scenario gain in probabilities? When will it lose in probabilities? What levels need to be hit on the chart so we can understand what comes next? What is the highest probability scenario? Because nobody has a crystal ball here, right? There's a very bullish case. There's a bearish case. We'll be putting the technical analysis, the timing and everything together so we can try and understand, right, what are the next scenarios. Ethereum, highest probability. Take out all-time high again, okay? Is the fourth wave in? We formed a little bit of a triangle here, structure, which gives us the chance that maybe Ethereum is actually not going to pull back below $4,000, right? We're getting squeezed in this triangle. The possibility of Ethereum forming the fourth wave in a triangle here is there right now with the information that we have throughout the last couple of weeks. Regardless, we are speculating on pullbacks. We are speculating on possible pullbacks that could happen here on the higher time frame. But be sure to understand that the bull run continuation, I got someone commenting that the bear market's, happening already right now. And I'm like, low probability for that, okay? Pullbacks are possible. They are very much a possibility to happen throughout the end of September. However, the highest probability, looking at the charts, based on the pullbacks, based on the overall trend, is that we do hit all-time high for Ethereum again before the end of the year, and also for Bitcoin before the end of the year. So we understand that the bull market is going to continue. We're expecting all-time high for Bitcoin. We're expecting new all-time high for Ethereum. We do expect more upside. What does the lower time frame tell us? The 4 hourly, the 1 hourly, all right? What structures can be developed? And if certain pivots are hit, where can we see the next high probability move? That will be explained in today's live stream. We do have the total 3 market capitalization. We are expecting Q4. We are entering into Q4 in the next couple of weeks in October. To expect Q4 to be massive. October has been one of the most bullish months for Bitcoin and crypto. As we can see here, October usually is in the green, but September has been a little bit shaky, okay? So we want to be a little bit cautious on what could happen here the last 2 weeks of September, okay? Let's go right away through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community that are joining right now and smashing up that like button, okay? We'll be discussing the different scenarios. We'll talk about CVD, a little bit of order flow as well, see what's going on here on the Bitcoin price. We're taking a look at the liquidation heat map. The amount of liquidity that is getting built beneath us, guys, is interesting. We'll be talking about no major news events, some interesting things that are happening worldwide. We do have the golden statue of President Trump holding Bitcoin placed out US Capitol, guys. I mean, yeah, this is, you know, this is kind of a classic local top signal, you know, if you would ask me, when we get stuff like this. Anyway, let's go through the comment section and then we'll dive in through Bitcoin on the lower time frame, okay? How's everybody doing? Right, we've got 200 people here watching the stream at the moment. Smash up the like button. It is Friday. Make sure to enjoy the weekend with friends and family. Let's go. It's over, says Axel. It's over for the Bulls. Yeah. No, high probability that Bitcoin does take out all-time high in the near future. Also for Ethereum, okay? Good stuff. Let's go. Paul, much love. Sunshine Girl. H. Komanua, how are you doing? Skeeto, Paintopia, Sunshine. Let's go, legends. Beautiful morning from Chicago. Andy, absolute legend. Much love to you, brother. Sell off coming. Japan's market is crashing. That is true that Japan's market is crashing. Okay. Japan is the third, if I'm not mistaken, the third largest economy in the world. Is it the third or fourth? It's round about that. Okay. And we are seeing the Japan stock market getting a bit of a dip. Appreciate you, Andy. Much love, baby G. Andy, do you think we'll hit those highs before sweeping the lows for DCA opportunity? I mean, you know, hitting the highs on Bitcoin, do you mean, right? Baby genius. Do you think that we hit the highs? What highs? The all-time highs or the lows? Yeah. We'll be discussing this different scenarios, okay? We understand that there's high probability in hitting all-time high just because this movement down cannot be counted as an impulse. There's no big volume. There's a lots of overlap. So your best chance here was a multiple 1-2 setup, but that's been completely invalidated completely as you swept up this high over here. Even sweeping up this lower high was already not a good, you know, losing probabilities on the possible 1-2. So anything that is formed after this movement to the downside, to the right, has to do with a corrective structure, or you have actually the possibility of forming an impulse right now with the last leg up that we had in the last few days, claiming almost $118,000 on some exchanges we did. This rally looks pretty good. An alternative that I saw 𝗬𝗍𝘆 pointing out is a WXYXZ, which, you know, this is a very uncommon corrective structure, but this would be catching everybody as surprise. The moment that we lose probabilities to get to $107,000, guys, as a ultimate confirmation, would be getting above the golden pocket, above $119,000. The moment you get above $119,000, the probabilities decrease massively that we are going to come down to 107K. Okay, so as long as we do not hit $119,000, there is that potential, guys. Nobody likes this bearish scenarios. The main reason why the title of this live stream is "It's Dangerous, Stay Cautious" is because people are becoming extremely bullish right now where we at this resistance, guys. You can see it cross through all of your favorite crypto channels that are everybody's jerking off here with this massive bullishness. Buy every single altcoin that you can because we're going to get a major rally. Obviously, we are seeing some altcoins popping out. The fact that Bitcoin is at a crucial level of resistance, and it's as simple as pointing out here the pointer controls of the big ranges. This is a big range, and this is a big range also throughout July and August. The price bounced at the point of control of this range. Let's keep it simple here for the guys that, don't want to follow Elliott wave theory, right? And just like, screw your Elliott wave scenarios, right? Well, let's just keep it a little bit simple. Point of control actually got an epic bounce from this zone. We mentioned the double bottom scenario on YouTube here. Guys, it's really in your best interest to start, looking for longs in this zone. I did jump into a long, added to the long position, and, it took advantage of this rally. Point of control. Where we are, that hasn't hit yet, but you can arguably discuss, you're basically almost hitting it, is the point of control of this zone, right? Almost hitting it. We're kind of front running it for the moment. So you might think, well, we're just going to get a pullback and we're going to hit it again here. It's possible. We're going to talk about the intraday set scenarios, okay? The levels of support and resistance and how the price action could move throughout the next coming days, guys, okay? What are the most important levels locally? But we need to go through higher time frame and explain the scenario. Biggest range that we had here, May, June, July. Point of control got the bounce. July, August, we basically scratching the point of control here, which is eventually becoming a strong level of resistance. When you do form, looking at basic patterns eventually, some kind of a double top scenario, and you get that bounce, you have the point of control, you're hitting the golden pocket, it becomes a dangerous level to become extremely bullish here. This is not a zone to be extremely hyped up to hit all-time high or get into aggressive long positions. All-time high is the highest probability regardless, guys, okay? I still hold most of my Bitcoin. So, I mean, I'm swing long basically on Bitcoin throughout the last few years on spot, right? This is where I have most of my net worth. So, I do realize I'm not selling any of my spot Bitcoin. I'm still not selling more of my spot Ethereum because the highest probability is to take out all-time high before the year ends. That's the moment, I'm going to start DCAing out aggressively. Ethereum 5,000, 6,000, it's time to really get out. Same for Bitcoin. It could be the last push out, right? People are speculating on 170K, 200K. I'm not sure if we have the perfect storm for that, for a super cycle, right? Which would eventually get Bitcoin to $200,000. I want to be in some cash, guys. I want to take profit. The previous bull run, I didn't take enough profit, and I'm going to be a bit more aggressive in this bull run, taking profit. The next all-time high would be the one that I would speculate that it's going to be the last push, guys. Regardless if we go to 130, 140, it's time to start getting out if you bought Bitcoin much cheaper. So what bearish case scenarios do we have here, right? Something to really take into consideration based on the rally. This was explained throughout many streams, guys, is the rally that we had on Bitcoin. Let me know if the mic's good, guys. I'll go through the comment section. A little bit of a higher time frame, guys. We'll zoom in here for the scalp and day trade lovers later on, right? Based on the levels and where we can find an opportunity for anybody that wants to get into a little scalp, a trade of $1,000 to $2,000 on Bitcoin. But higher time frame perspective is important to have the general idea of what could happen. And we've been talking about this for a few weeks now. The movement up from April, extremely explosive. We pumped almost $50,000 in 4 months, less than 4 months. This is an incredible rally to get a pullback like this and then come to all-time high. The timing is extremely important, guys. Timing is important because, people would be surprised if, we're dumping down to 107K in the next coming weeks. This would be completely natural. It would be part of a pullback based on the insane rally that we had between April, May, right, all the way to August. It would be completely natural, right? This would not be the moment to freak out. It would be the moment to start looking for support levels and be excited to look for bottom formations and start looking for some swing longs, right? If you're not in swing longs already, eventually from lower. You know, just a little bit of a higher time frame perspective, okay? The moment that we would realize, okay, that there's low probability in hitting $107,000, the ultimate confirmation level, guys, you know, going to keep it relatively simple, is once you cross the golden pocket. The only bearish case scenario that we do have here for an aggressive move down is a WXY double zigzag. This scenario right over here. For an aggressive double zigzag, you need to top out at the 50% golden pocket zone. The moment you cross golden pocket, this scenario has extreme low probabilities. So that will be the moment that if you do hit 119K plus, that what you're looking here is for corrective kind of structures. And you realize that there's very low probability to hit 107K. Now, eventually there would be several options if you do get above $119,000, right? Because, you know, what we would be looking at is a sideways WXY structure. Some of the scenarios that could happen if you do get above $119,000 above the golden pocket is forming a flat structure, which can be very confusing, right? You take out the highs, you know, you get a pullback, you take out the highs and then take out the lows. It's going to be a very confusing environment, right? Because it's where you get that volatility, a lot of shakeouts, right? You're stopping out here, you know, any short positions, you're stopping out later on, any long positions that are getting onto the, you know, the hype. It's very common to form a flat in a Y wave of a sideways corrective move. Because it's just real, you know, kind of higher time frame volatilities spiking up to stop out the short traders and also stopping out here the long traders that have got in later on. So it's one movement that could happen throughout October if we were to hit $119,000, right? This would be the most common, okay, Y wave that you have in a WXY. Then the least common one would be the triangle, right? Which would, I mean, it's still common, but first of all, you do get the flat. So if $119,000 were to be hit, you would have to start thinking of a larger WXY, okay? And a triangle here, finishing in your Y wave. Still, I mean, it's still early. The sharp WXY is still very much possible. We'll talk about the levels that will confirm, okay, giving extreme high probability that the 107K is going to be hit, guys. Because if these levels are hit, we'll have high probability, okay? So 119K plus hit, the probabilities for a sideways correction is on the chart, forming a flat, which would be this, this, and this, and then grind to the upside. It could be smaller, it could be larger. You know, we'll have to really pay attention to how the price moves. A triangle structure here is also an option later on throughout October if 119K plus is hit. So those are the two main options here that we do have, realizing that the lows are unlikely to be hit and it's in your best interest to look for swing long positions throughout this range that we form after hitting $119,000. Other scenario, eventually there's the sharp double zigzag. A lot of people are very skeptical about this scenario, okay? They would think, you know, it's how come? We got the interest rate cuts. Everything is primed for the price to, you know, really start grinding up to the upside. Even though the probabilities from this area to continue grinding with higher lows to hit all-time high is low probability, guys. if you expect the price from where it is right now to move like we have been moving for the last 2 weeks to continue to do so, this is very, very low probability, guys. Why is that so? Because as we've grinded here to the upside in the last few weeks, we've already had a possible impulse. We've already have possibly a 5-wave move to the upside. Multiple 1-2s here has low probability just because your second 1 and 2 is much larger than your first 1 and 2. So having 1-2 here, 1-2 and another 1-2 here, you eventually don't want to lose these higher lows, because then eventually you lose probability significantly for this to be a double 1-2 scenario. Your second 1 and 2 is much larger, guys, and this is uncommon for a multiple 1-2. So we're really not thinking about that scenario because it's just low probability. The moment that you if you believe that you're just going to be grinding here to the upside with higher lows and higher highs, just like we've been doing, and this channel is going to go forever till we hit all-time high, this is not how the market moves, okay? Low probability for this. This is not how usually the market moves, okay? Especially when we do consider the rally that we had on the 1st of September, the first week of September, sideways correction. You got your next push up, guys. We left this zone, right? The second week of September. So we left this area. Now you got this price action right over here. And here's where you're speculating on, okay, was this your 4th wave? And this is your 5th wave already. We did claim the highs. 5th waves can be very double toppy looking. And then you get the pullback. You form some kind of a corrective structure with lots of overlap. This is going to be, the moment that we are going to detect if there's high chance to hit the highs here. On the way we move down, we will, obviously with our technical skills, detect if this is a corrective kind of movement down. And eventually we are speculating to hit the highs again here, guys. It is extremely important to understand the power and the volume of the movement down to see if it is going to be corrective or impulsive. So it is in the best interest, okay, for the bullish momentum to maintain above $110,700. This low right over here is the sweet spot confirmation that there's extreme high probabilities you're going to take out 107K. It all has to do with structure as well, higher low, right? It's your main higher low of the structure. Because even though if you pull back down here, claim below 114K, you could still bounce and claim the highs here. Why? Because you could form an ABC flat still. You're still maintaining that overall bullish momentum. This could be your wave 4 in a flat. Sweep up the local lows and get the, that's a good day trade setup. Regardless if it's going to take out the highs or not, it's a good level to bounce if we sweep up the lows below 114.2K, guys. It's a good level. Regardless, I do expect a relief rally here and then move down or claim the highs. So it's a good level for an entry based on a day trade, because there's good confluence. We'll go through that later on, okay, after a few seconds. But the ultimate confirmation that 107K is going to be hit is really once you get below 110,700, right? This is where the probabilities, and it's in your best interest to look for shorts to really aim to claim 107K. And you might think, but I want to get into the highs, right? At the highest level possible for that short. Well, the trend is still very much bullish. If we were to move down, say, pretty aggressively, right, throughout the next coming days, to tap below 110.7, it's in your best interest to look for what kind of bounces you create here. If it is going to be very overlappy, right, no major power, very corrective, it's in your best interest to look for shorts here, guys, whoever says that this is going to be a bullish bounce, it's not going to roll over, is in denial, basically. That's what usually happens when somebody's very, very bullish or very, very bearish, right? You need to really take into consideration, if you're trading the market, both scenarios, bullish and bearish, guys. You know, I realize that we are in a bullish trend. We could really continue moving up, right? We'll go through some local scenarios based on this structure, right? But we're still focusing on higher time frames, just to let you know where the probabilities change, because this is a probability game, right? Nobody has a crystal ball and knows exactly what's going to happen. Well, you're going to get people that, you know, if you're always bullish, you know, you are going to get it right eventually. And it's in your best interest to be more bullish always on Bitcoin, right? I'm always bullish. It's a bull market. It's a bull market. People, they only stick to the bullishness. I'm just talking about local possibilities here based on correction. Don't be surprised if this does happen. Don't be surprised. You know, it would be something natural. Still high probability in hitting all-time high, because there's no good way in counting this as a strong selling pressure, impulsive move down. It's very corrective, very overlappy throughout the pivot lows and pivot highs. And there's no good way to count this as an impulse. So we need to consider it as a corrective structure. If you have a corrective structure from all-time high, probabilities in hitting all-time high at a later stage is what is likely going to happen, right? It's what's likely going to happen. So this is going to be, it's going to be actually quite hilarious if we are going to get down below 107K. You know, the chances are still there. It's going to be quite hilarious, because I want to see those different other crypto channels to see, you know, what's going on, right? And the sentiment of the people if we were to get down 107K, which would be completely natural, guys. It would be super normal to do that. You know, taking into consideration the extension that we had throughout April and August, right? This is an insane rally, insane, that hasn't had a proper pullback. I mean, yeah, this was good. Now we're talking, guys. You know, imagine having this rally and having this correction and, you know, believing that you're going to pop out from here and go to Valhalla. You know, yeah, this is no type of correction to continue the pump. This, now we're talking. This is what you want to see. Now we're talking. Now this is a pretty nice shakeout. Now this is a nice moment to say, wow, you know, this is pretty good, you know, to consider after this impulse as a good, proper, healthy correction. And this is why you need to, you know, be aware of this situation, that, you know, the rally that we had throughout here, forming a 5-wave impulse, contracting diagonal. You need to give that option. You need to give that option. Obviously, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but I'm very much realistically thinking that it could happen in the most natural way. But, you know, a lot of people are, you know, usually in the markets, you have that disbelief kind of thought. You're either super bullish or you're super bearish. And it's very difficult to find someone that's in the middle, right? Where you're taking into consideration the bullish case, you're taking into consideration the bearish case, right? You know, someone that does trading and technical analysis and actually makes profit trading, you need to see his attitude be like this. You need to really consider the both sides of the face. So this is still very much a reality, guys. It's still very much a scenario that can happen. And the ultimate confirmation level to get down to 107K is tapping, getting below the 110.7, because you run out of bullish case scenarios once the price hits this zone. Now, if the price were to come down to this area in a corrective matter, and this is crucial to understand, where you do come down like this, right? you almost tap it, but you get a bounce, corrective bounce, and then you come back down, hit that level, and you overlap here with this lower high, there is eventually that possibility that all of this is corrective and you have formed a 5-wave impulsive move to the upside. So we really need to consider how we get down to this zone, because if it's going to be choppy and it's going to be overlappy, right, throughout the next couple of weeks, we need to consider that this movement down is not powerful, right? And the same applies to this. The same applies to this movement down. We were realizing that we're looking for very likely a corrective structure in this formation. I mean, the multiple 1-2 scenario was an option. We had good support here, very good reasons to get into longs here the first week of September. And, you know, we finally started the rally, right? We finally started the movement to the upside. The thing is, you know, as there is a valid 5-wave structure pump here, you know, it's not going to be easy. I have to say, it's never easy, guys. You know, you're obviously gaining probabilities or lose probabilities. But, you know, it will all have to do with how we get down here. It will all have to do on how we get down. Because if we nuke down, say that we nuke down here, obviously the weekend is coming. The weekend doesn't get much volatility. Might get some bounces because of, you know, retail FOMO. But if we were to come down here throughout next week very aggressively, and the bounce is extremely choppy and overlappy, I would bet very aggressively that this low is going to be taken. If we move down pretty aggressively throughout the next coming days, give or take the next week, okay, and we hit 110.7, this choppiness is going to be the ultimate highest probability area to look for shorts to then roll down in a possible third wave. Because you know, we know how the market moves, right? Market moves in 3 waves or it moves in 5 waves. There's no more to it. It moves like that. The sooner you understand it, the better trader you are going to be. So you get that first leg down after this uptrend, because we have been uptrending, all good. Everybody's jerking off that we're going to go to all-time high altcoin season forever. We are at big resistance. I just want to be the good guy of the game, guys. That to make sure that people are protective. I got a message today from someone that he longed Solana. It doesn't matter because I'm not going to say his name. At $252. This is real, guys. This is real. I can share you. I can blur it out. But I got someone telling me that he longed Solana at $252. The Pico top, guys. And he's down over $1,700, right? This is somebody that's, you know, retail trader. And he believed that we were going to come all the way up to 260 with that pump that we had yesterday. I mean, yeah, no, this is the seriousness here of FOMO. This is the seriousness of FOMO. I shorted Solana at that price. Yeah, it's kind of a double toppy scenario here. He was asking for what should I do, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, you know, this is not a nice double top. You have these fresh lows. His liquidation is at $122, and I'm thinking, like, you are being fish here, because, you know, obviously a flat scenario or sweeping up the higher lows is the most common thing that you would do after forming a double top. Are you going to be safe? Looking at the Bitcoin dominance, where it is at support and getting a possible bounce in the next couple of weeks, you know, if you can get out safely, cut losses, you know, long in here, you definitely don't need to long here. You know, this is where's your plan, right? This is a trade that is destined to fail without a doubt, right? So I just want to be on the defensive side for the people here, realizing that the danger of actually, you know, possibly getting the local bearish case, guys, right? I don't want to be the bear here. I just want to let you know that anybody that is longing, you know, with the movements up is extremely dangerous, right? If you don't know what you're doing. So of course, it's not all doom and gloom. You know, we are in bull market. The probabilities are heading to all-time highs. So, you know, why talk about so local bearish case scenarios? This would be a part of a corrective structure, by the way. It is important for you guys to understand, because if it happens, don't be surprised, right? Don't be surprised. It was a possibility, right? It was a possibility. This is why I'm here to tell you that, you know, this is very much still a possibility to happen. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Of course, we are uptrending and it's looking very nice. The trend is strong and we are grinding to the upside very, very nicely, right? It's all very, very nice, very uptrend, very bullish, right? Let's go. Let's long every single pullback. Well, to be honest, if I'm looking at this structure, I do realize that we are building liquidity to the downside, okay? There is some liquidity. There's liquidity still above $118,000. There's no doubt about it. But what would be a good level of support, right? I mean, we talked about hitting the naked point of control on a previous stream. Any of these local double tops here are okay to short, guys. We talked about this on the previous stream a few days ago when we had the FOMC meeting, right? You hit the highs, very unlikely you're gonna pop out here very aggressively. It's just a big resistance. You're gonna get some reactions. You're gonna claim a bit of liquidity, and you know the possible move down here is without a doubt a chance to happen here. What would be interesting for the price? Of course, you do have the naked point of controls. We talked about this, right? You just tapped the point of control of the range, a weekly naked point of control, very nice, just at the 118k zone. This is, you know, we had these levels throughout the stream a few days ago, and we said, okay, after the FOMC and the interest rate decision and FOMC press conference, sweeping up the highs to speculate on a short, you know, is very much a possibility here, of course, right? Hitting the naked point of control. And yeah, obviously we're getting that reaction here, and we are moving down throughout the last 24 hours. So if we do consider the bullish case scenario, I have to say there is a chance of counting this as a 5-waver that has finished. There is a possibility. Even though the movement up doesn't look too impulsive, too great, there's lots of overlap, I would consider this a possible 3-wave structure up. It just doesn't look clean for a 5th wave, which gives me the possibility, of course, of forming a flat here and then getting the next leg to the upside. And this is, I mean, this is the bullish case scenario, right? This would be the bullish case scenario, because this range right over here was extremely long from this wave 1 sideways momentum, and then you get the wave 3 here, we're breaking out the highs. Because this wave 2 was so long, you can have such a long 4th wave with no problem, right? So an ABC flat here needs to be taken into consideration for the bullish case. I mean, this would be the bullish case, in my opinion, to sweep below the lows of the range of this week. And eventually, because you have a weekly naked point of control from this consolidation that we had on the rally, it would, you would expect this zone to find support. If you are extremely bullish and you believe that, okay, I prefer this scenario, forming a flat in a 4th wave here, the level that needs to hold is the 114k. When you get Fibonacci from the wave 2 here to the wave 3, the level that needs to hold max is 113.5, which is 50% Fibonacci. If you get down to $113,000, you throw this scenario out the window. This impulsive move, you throw it out the window. I do expect a reaction bounce, guys, at 114.2K zone, right? Give or take a few $100 for volatility. Just because it would be a natural, sweep up the lows event. And you have a weekly naked point of control. We know how these weekly naked point of controls, how strong they are. How strong are they? Well, we rejected from one yesterday. That's how strong they are, right? Weekly naked point of control here, just below 118K. Price struggled here very much, rolling over today. So, yeah, anybody that they got into the short, then absolutely great. It is a good zone. The good thing about this is, yeah, maybe your fourth wave was here and you formed a running flat. That's possible. This is very 5-wavy to the upside if you consider from this low. Maybe it was a running flat. This was it on the bullish case scenario. Maybe it's a 𝗖𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍. Also a possibility. I don't have that on the chart right now, but we can just do the magic of it right now, which would be from this low. 𝗖𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍. You can play around with this one, XZ. Eventually a double zigzag for your Z here would be the ideal scenario. I mean, this is what looks good. You might think, well, this doesn't look impulsive, but it does look very 3-wavy. And inside of a 𝗖𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍, inside of all of these waves, you want some kind of a, corrective 3-wave structure. So, I mean, this is how interesting this zone is. Regardless of what's happening here, a rejection from this point was very much expected, guys, because you realize the amount of resistance that there is here at 118K zone. And if you move up like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, but is this the fourth wave and we form a flat and then one more high? Or is this a 𝗖𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍? Or is it, whatever it is, you are looking for the price to reject from here. You are looking for some kind of a move down. Regardless if you hit 118, 119, 117, you chop around. Regardless of whatever this is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, could you get one more low, one more high? You are looking for a rollover. You are looking for a movement down. Is the fifth wave finished? Well, yeah, maybe it is. Right? Is it a 𝗖𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍? Well, that would be the most bearish case scenario for the rollover because, yeah, we are looking for a pretty aggressive move down. Whatever you have here in this uptrend structure, you realize that breaking out here to go to Valhalla is just an unlikely scenario. It's an unlikely scenario because you have a possible finished uptrend structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can go over your head and say, well, what if this is not the fifth wave? What if this is an ABC flat, right? And you do create the fifth wave. It doesn't matter. This is a zone where you're likely going to get rejected and you are unlikely to break out successfully. There's no big breakout scenario here unless you're thinking about multiple 1-2s, which, has a low probability because this wave is larger than this one. And usually you do have overlap as well. So when you do form multiple 1-2s, they usually look like this. You kind of form a wedgie structure and you have overlap from your wave 1s and 2s. Yeah, this one went very far away. When you move far away from that wave 1 and it's longer, you already need to start thinking of ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You realize that the most bullish case scenario, which would be multiple 1-2s, and you continue to grind and break out in a third wave, yeah, this has a low probability. This is just not, it's not common sense when you understand the structures and how the price moves. Whoever thinks that you're going to pull back here and absolutely rip in the next 1 to 2 weeks is delusional. I don't know what I'm talking about. All-time high, I'm super bullish. Whoever's talking about this on YouTube is delusional, guys. It's just not a reality. So it's low probability, of course, right? Could it happen? I mean, it could definitely happen. But, you know, when we consider understanding how the price market, how the movement happens in the market, you know, it's low probability. So we understand that a successful breakout above this zone for the moment, without getting some kind of a rejection to at least get below $114,000, is unlikely that we get into a moon mission here, guys, without getting the movement down. And the simple explanation is because of what I explained. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 5 is in. Maybe you form a flat, one more high, and then you get the correction throughout, you know, end of September, October. But yeah, believing that we're going to absolutely moon from this zone in the next 1 to 2 weeks is you're delusional, guys. You know, it's just not the correct way of thinking, right? But we have a statue of Donald Trump that's been put, you know, in Washington. This is actually perfect to get the correction, guys. You know, when you get these kind of posts and this kind of BS, you know, this is perfect to move down. Right? We know that, right? Whoever has experience and has been here long enough knows about that. Anyway, it's time to get to take it easy, you'll be banned. Who's this? Right, let's go right away. Down to 104K or 92K makes more sense. There are too many longs. Maybe yes, says Peter. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. Just wanted to give a little bit of an overview here, guys. Make sure to smash up the like button. Today was a bit of a general higher time frame. Be cautious. I want to talk about Bitcoin dominance. I want to talk about the dollar index if I can also. I want to talk about the Bitcoin dominance most importantly. We are expecting, okay, I think people are over expecting this scenario. You know what? When you take a look at the total 3 or the total market cap, we have our first major rally eventually, right? Throughout, well, I mean, you can arguably discuss on total 3. You have it, you know, between 2014, 15, when Ethereum was popping out, you know, major start, right? This is the major start of crypto. And then you have this corrective move, right? Throughout the bear market of 2018, 19. When you take a look at this structure, we have the contracting diagonal, which is bullish. This does look that the rally that we're having in this bull market will be the last one, guys, before a major brutal bear market. This kind of pattern is very suspicious. I think in a nutshell, you know, shit's gonna hit the fan, guys, in the next couple of years at some point. You know, we know that we have the power of the people that are above us to do whatever they want and, you know, get a C19.2 or WW3, right? Whatever. They have the tools and the potential to take everything to crap. But before that happens, you usually get into a hyped good times, right? Technology is great. You know, the advanced, you know, AI, crypto is the future. And I think, you know, overall, we are looking at this as a, you know, nice, good, possible 5-wave contracting diagonal, which eventually you already hit the highs, guys. There's no reason to go to, you know, $5 trillion a year on total 3 or total 1. If you hit the highs, that's it. The target's being hit, right? So just the same as Bitcoin before it got this pullback right over here, just so you understand. We literally hit the highs on the total 3 market cap and also on the total 1. Let me just clean this chart here just to give you an example. When you have a contracting diagonal to the upside, which is the case for Bitcoin between April and August, there's no need for the 5th wave. There's no need for the 5th wave to hit the top of the wedge. You can double top. There's no need to exponentially growth grow here to hit the top of the wedge here. There's no need. As long as you take out that high, that's it. It's shorter than your third wave. There's no major guaranteed targets on your fifth wave. The first target is taking out the high. Bitcoin formed a double top here. I would expect eventually, okay, as Ethereum and Bitcoin still look to take out all-time high, that we would have that rally eventually based on the structure on the total 3 here to get a bit more of a squeeze, right? Get $1 trillion in at some point on you know, in crypto, maybe some, you know, maybe a little bit more than that. But when you take a look at the total 3 or the total 1, you realize that you have already a significant 5-wave bull run here, which, you know, just makes you skeptical about the situation for that bear market, you know, that inevitably will happen eventually, guys. You know, we are starting to get some people believing that this is it, right? This is like the adoption S curve, that there's no turning back, which always happens on every cycle, right? There's no bear market. Bear markets will not be the same. When institutions are in the game, bear markets can be more brutal. I can tell you that. But anyway, not much here to talk about Bitcoin. We can talk about the local scenarios, okay? Local scenarios are very much interesting. We need to talk about the most bullish case, because we can not only talk about bearish scenarios and not consider the flying pump here that could happen. Probabilities are very low for this, but just to for the bulls out there, your best scenario for this to be a 1-2, another 1 and 2 here. I don't like it already, because your second 1 and 2 is longer than your first 1 and 2. There's also no overlap. This is like low probability, but as long as you're grinding to the upside, you need to still give it a possible chance. But yeah, for multiple 1-2s here, you don't want to lose the lows, and we are building liquidity. The other scenarios have higher probability based on what I explained here. Second wave 1 and 2 is longer, right? And you didn't overlap. You know, it's very most common to overlap from your first 1s and 2s. So this has low probability, but eventually you don't want to lose the 114.5k. If you lose that level, then yeah, it's just, we're looking at all of the rest of the scenarios that were mentioned throughout the stream here, legends. Okay, so if you want a good level for a reaction to get a bounce, look no further, guys. Just like we mentioned a few days ago, anybody that's, you know, interested in speculating the top or local double tops, the best zone to do it is where you have a naked point of control. Preferably a weekly naked point of control is stronger eventually. Then, you know, people that did short yesterday are making some profits right now, right? It's just a little pullback, but you still, you know, it's still the level where we look for the rejection. It's an entry. You know, people are interested in day trades as well. Well, the day trade was mentioned throughout Wednesday, that if we do get up here to the naked point of control and get above the high, then this is a decent zone to get into a double, triple top rejection from the weekly naked point of control. You get above it, you're not interested. You get below it, you sniper trade, stop loss at the high. The same theory for all of those day trader scalpers out there applies at the 114.2k, where you do have a weekly naked point of control from this price action based on this consolidation, and it's actually a sweep of the lows of the range. So it becomes dangerous to long these pullbacks, okay? In my personal opinion, guys. Just understanding that we do have a valid 5-wave move up. We do have a valid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 WXYZ. It's already, you're hitting major resistance already. You're hitting the golden pocket. You know, longing these pullbacks becomes a little bit risky unless you're hitting a major level of support, which might be, I'm not sure where it is, guys, but from this range. But I would prefer not to have any interest here. I mean, yeah, you do have a naked point of control and the point of control of the range, which is sitting around about 115.6, 115.8. I mean, point of controls of a major range are always, you know, pretty solid. I mean, golden pocket from this wick low to the highs, right? Or even from this low, it doesn't matter, of the range, is sitting where you have the highest volume node of this week, right? Basically the last 7 days or so. It's a level that you could get an instant reaction bounce. 115.7, 115.8. It's good support, golden pocket with a point of control. You could get a little relief rally, a little bounce from this region. But if you're looking for a bigger bounce, look no more further here. Weekly naked point of control. If you do break it, you literally don't want to have any funny business on long positions if you were to get below this weekly naked point of control, which is sitting at 114.2k, right? So you do have the lows, which is perfect to get that classic sweep, right? And if you are trading below the weekly naked point of control, it's not in your interest to get into a long, because price could follow through. You really need to hold this point of control, weekly naked point of control from last week, basically, right? Same applies for the highs right over here. I mean, and this is for a pretty decent bounce. This is for if the bullish case scenario where you have a zigzag down, zigzag up, forming an, your A wave here, your B wave here, which is literally topping out at the perfect point, right? Which would be, let me just reverse this because I need to confirm this scenario. I'm actually in doubt. Yeah, 1 2 3 6 1 3 8 2, right? This is where you topped out beautifully. 1 2 3 6 1 3 8 2 from your A wave. You know, this is like at the point of control. This is like, wow, this is very good Fibonacci confluence. Your B waves do mainly top out in between 1 2 3 6 and 1 3 8 2 without hitting the 1.618 extension of your A wave. So if this is a zigzag A wave and this is another zigzag, sorry, this is a flat actually, flat A wave and a zigzag up in a B wave, it's in your interest here to believe if this is going to be an ABC flat that you're going to reject in the 1 2 3 6 1 3 8 2 zone, which you also have that extra confluence at the naked point of control. So any price action above the weekly naked point of control is not a good area to short. You want to see rejection from the weekly naked point of control, stop loss at the high, and if this does play out, you're literally aiming for 114k. This is a bigger move, right? If you want to get that move of $4,000, maybe $5,000 if it gets below. If you sweep this range of the last 7 days, this theory, this kind of setup applies in the same way, right? If the price were to come down to the weekly naked point of control from this consolidation after sweeping the lows here, which is a beautiful, it's a liquidity game at the end of the day, right? You sweep the lows and you get that bounce. If the price does break down and you trade beneath the weekly naked point of control, nobody wants to long here. Who wants to long when you've broken a major level of support? If you trade above and see that proof of support, just as it applied here in the last 24 hours, then yeah, it looks interesting to short, stop loss at the high. You can make a 3-4 to 1 risk to reward trade, maybe even more. So this would be the most interesting area for me to consider a long position. Something interesting is the anchored VWAP from the pivot low. Whew, I mean, that's coming in, that's sitting in nicely here. It is below the weekly naked point of control. It's slightly lower. You are looking for some kind of a relief rally at this zone. Very, very likely. You got weekly, you got the anchored VWAP from the pivot low of the 1st of September. And you also have the weekly naked point of control for the bullish case scenario. If we are considering this a ABC flat, price should not successfully break below the 50% here from this pivot low to the pivot high below 50%, which is 113 set. Yeah, this is a good, it's actually a good zone for a reaction. A relief rally here is extremely likely when we connect the dots. Anchored VWAP, possible flat scenario, weekly naked point of control. Yeah, this 113.7, 113.8 could be an interesting bouncing zone. Yeah, you know, I was talking about getting above the weekly naked point of control to take that long. But if there's any falling knife lovers out there, you know, this would be the zone to bounce. And it's not going to be an easy trade eventually, but even getting below anchored VWAP would be an option. Tap the anchored VWAP. If you get above anchored VWAP, it could be a long trigger. Stop loss beneath the low of the fake out. And with as many scenarios on these higher time frame setups, guys, you know, we can just zoom out. The anchored VWAP from the pivot low of April was also a reason to look for a double bottom here. We can pull out that stream, guys. Who remembers the stream from the 31st of August? We talked about a double bottom here, considering the point of control of this range, right? And the anchored VWAP, right? And realizing, where's that fixed volume profile? We'll just pull another one. So yeah, I'm really focusing on the anchored VWAP, guys. Super important level. And anchored VWAP from the pivot low of the 1st of September is sitting at 113.7, 113.8, which is just beneath the lows and slightly below the weekly naked point of control. It's a perfect liquidity grab bouncing reaction zone. I would consider it as a scalp day trade, okay? But it's a good entry regardless. And what I wanted to show you here is this double bottom that we formed. When you do zoom in, look at that tap. And this is anchored VWAP from the April low, guys. April low from the rally. You can pull out the chart from the major rally. So this is the ultimate low after this epic correction that we had in, you know, Q1 of 2025. Same here. Look at the anchored VWAP, how it got that reaction. Absolutely legendary bounce. And same applied right over here. And you just gently got below the anchored VWAP. Look at this. I mean, it's a perfect scenario. If you look for a long in this zone, stop loss at the low. Anchored VWAP is from a major pivot high or a pivot low, is extremely powerful. So yeah, you got this anchored VWAP from the major lows of the 1st of September, which is coming to that, you know, there's a bit of an order block if you wish. This little consolidation. Weekly naked point of control, unfortunately, is slightly higher. It would have been nice to connect that weekly naked point of control with the anchored VWAP, but it would have been this would be an epic zone. Even though anchored VWAP, I would really consider it as a fake out scenario. If we were to come down, okay, if we were to come down, it would be a good zone to enter a long position on the reaction. Long here on the reaction, stop loss at low. You know, you're looking for that relief rally or an impulse. We don't know, right? It could be an ABC flat and you start already a major rally to the upside. So it's a good entry point if you want to get these bigger swings. So yeah, just some stuff that I wanted to point out here, guys. If you do enjoy the content, absolute legends. Much love to everybody. Let's go through the comment section now. It is about time. It is about time to go through the comment section. We are still uptrending. right? There's no reasons to believe that we are going to get an epic dump. Okay, we are still very much uptrending, but we need to talk about the bearish, the local bearish scenarios eventually. But yeah, price is very much uptrending for the moment. So the main reason I don't like longs here is, it's just because we have the possibility. We've had a massive rally throughout the last few weeks, and it's looking very 5-wavy. Could the 5-wave not be in? Maybe yes. Could it be a multiple 1-2? Low probabilities in my opinion. So any good support here preferably would be the point of control of this range of the last 10 days, which we have also weekly naked point of control. A daily naked point of control from Wednesday, when we had that local volatility here from the FOMC. This zone does look pretty interesting. If the market is going to get a bounce, if Bitcoin is going to get a bounce, that golden pocket 7-8 zone point of control here would be the zone of interest to get a relief rally, right? This would be the best zone to take a shot, in my opinion, for it. Intraday bounce, most bullish case scenario eventually would be coming up again to the highs. And the most bearish one would eventually get rejected at the valley area high of this zone, 50% golden pocket, right? Fake, very, very choppy and poor bounce, which eventually we would be looking for that rollover later on. So the best zone is undoubtedly, this one right over here at 115.7. Can it bounce here? There's just no major reasons, no technical reasons here to get this bounce. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community, guys. Remember, if you are interested in trading, guys, we got some epic bonuses throughout all of the exchanges, most of the exchanges that I do use. I'm still on the Ethereum short, guys. I want to explain why. Still partially in the Ethereum short. I need to explain Ethereum, guys. If you're interested in trading, though, make sure to check out the bonuses. On weeks, you get 20% deposit bonus. Bluffing, you get 10% deposit bonus. Also VIP 1 or 2, which decreases your fees depending on what you deposit, guys. Claim those perks, okay? Bluffing also has massive giveaways. You can take a screenshot on this. Depending on what you deposit and the volume, you can get an Apple Vision, an Omega Globemaster. Lots of different perks on the exchanges. If you sign up here down below with the affiliate link, guys, it's 2nd for bluffing, 4th for weeks. Check them out. You also get access to the VIP community, okay, which is the first link, which I am sharing my trading setups there, okay, in the Telegram. Take advantage of that, guys. Let's go right away through the comment section, but I need to talk about Ethereum, guys. Anybody that wants to know about Ethereum is bullish. Higher time frame. All-time high is expected. All-time high is expected for Ethereum. There is a bullish case that looks very interesting, that if we hit certain levels, obviously you want to try and catch the low, right? We'll talk about where the price needs to bounce. But if you are interested in knowing about Ethereum, we'll talk about Ethereum right away, because we are looking for an end of a wave 4, which we are forming a very interesting possible triangle. The ABC down is still a possibility. This is why I remain partially in my Ethereum short from all-time high. It's just such a good entry that, I am considering the possibility of forming a zigzag down. Or the most bullish case is that you have a triangle. Now, for all of those people that are majorly bullish, adding to, because Ethereum has high probability in hitting all-time high, why not consider building up a swing long position from now? And I would be happy to long at $4,200, $4,000, $3,800. Well, you have to use low leverage, low capital. If you are feeling comfortable building a long position, just realizing that there is high chance of hitting all-time high. That's if you're not in longs already, because you might be in longs from lower already. But the highest probability on the higher time frame is for Ethereum to take out all-time high, regardless if you form a triangle or if you form a zigzag, and come down to this order block if you wish, right? To then ultimately look for the rally. So there's two scenarios here for Ethereum. You know, both of the scenarios are hitting all-time high, right? So you take your decisions eventually according to the higher time frame, but all-time high is expected. We can explain the scenarios right there. 𝗬𝗏𝘆𝗽𝗍, the legend himself, is around. Andy Pandy Ever Candy says, Mark Dutch, much love to you, brother. Thanks for joining the stream, giving love and support, smashing the like button, every single one of you. It's insane. Andy, I am enjoying the VIP group a lot, especially with your short videos. Okay, I'll need to get some more short videos inside of the VIP then. Very soon I will join the Legends Pro community. Absolute legends. Yeah, Dylan has been crushing it. Dylan is the one that is focusing mainly on altcoins, and he's been crushing it on some altcoins. He got into the pop out of the ascending triangle on Avalanche, which you know, he was very vocal about that long position, and this was last week. And holy smokes, you know, this was a very good entry on Avalanche. It did get a major pop. Everything was looking very good. Average entry at $26, and yeah, Avalanche was looking very bullish, right? You had the major highs, you know, moving here with higher lows, getting squeezed. The good thing about Avalanche, that the movements to the upside were looking very impulsive, corrective structures, you know, flat scenarios. It was just a matter of time. It was getting squeezed here with higher lows, right? Supply zone, and it's just ready for the pop, right? It was just ready for the pop, and it popped. It popped out this week or last week. I'm getting my dates here good. Yeah, this was a last week trade. It was last week because the average entry point here was $26. So shout out to Dylan, who's been absolutely crushing it with a few altcoins between last week and this week. You know, Avalanche went, you know, through the absolute moon here with that entry. Very good trade by Dylan from the VIP. Ones that are in the VIP will be very much familiar with you know, that long position from Dylan on Avalanche. So yeah, shout out to you, my man, joining the Legends Pro community very soon. You will enjoy it very much. You have myself, Dylan. You also have 𝗬𝗏𝘍𝗽𝗍, who's the machine. He's the one that's really, you know, providing so many different scenarios every single day and education in the Legends Pro community. Okay. When things look complicated, we need to simple. We need to be simple. Very true. Just ABC from all-time high with a very normal correction up to the golden zone, I think. Yeah, very true. ABC to the downside from all-time high. Yeah, just a three-wave structure, basically, right? Just a three-wave structure here from all-time high is basically what we're discussing. You know, this is the thing right now, guys. We could not be too bearish. The only bearishness that there is from here is the awareness of realizing that, you know, some kind of a corrective structure here is most likely, despite if you tap 119k or not, 118 or you double, triple top, whatever. Being aware that a corrective structure here would be the most natural thing to happen, and the worst case scenario would be getting below 107k from this area. But ultimately, looking for new all-time highs, because there is no way of counting this movement down, looking at the volume, looking at the waves, as a impulsive move to the downside. Okay, so somebody saying keep it simple, just a zigzag structure. Well, you do have that ABC zigzag move down, which would be this one right over here. But there's no solid way of counting an impulse here. There's no solid way of counting an impulse. We've been through this, but I don't want to explain it because I've talked about it a few times already. But there's no good way of counting a 5-wave impulsive move here And a contracting diagonal is not possible because it would be expanding when you connect your wave 2 and your wave 4, and you connect your wave 1 and your wave 3, so it would be expanding move. And of course it's not possible because your wave 5 is smaller than your wave 3, and in an expanding move you want your wave 5 to be longer, and that is not the case here. So yeah, you cannot fit any impulsive down here, which eventually any movement down from all-time high, there is a correction. You understand that all-time high is going to be hit at some point in the future, despite any mess that happens here, right? Sideways correction, a sharp double zigzag. This could be an impulse even. 5 waver, you got a 5 waver here, so you correct down with overlap. You already understand that this is bullish. Wave 1, wave 2, you look for all-time high, depending on the movement down, if it is going to be choppy and corrective. So we will get that information throughout the next coming weeks. It's going to be exciting. Overall, all-time high. Whoever's been invested in Bitcoin throughout the last few years, I still have most of my Bitcoin, and I'm going to start selling aggressively. I've only sold 10% of my spot Bitcoin. And, basically just, you're not going to sell till we get above all-time high again. And I'll sell, I'll be vocal about it on YouTube. I'll be saying, guys, I sold 10% of my spot bag, depending on how we move up here. But we're still good, guys, in the bull run. Ethereum still, we're looking for all-time high. The overall higher time frame is the one that's getting a little bit mixed up here. There is a possibility that Ethereum is forming a triangle here, or has formed, or is forming, as long as you maintain. We talked about this the other day on YouTube. Based on the information that we have in the last few weeks, there is, a 5-wave structure getting squeezed with lower highs and higher lows. It seems silly to talk about a triangle when you're trading here, right? And you're like, oh, we could form a triangle. It's like, you haven't got the triangle yet. Why would you even talk about it? So we have a triangle right now, which is kind of, a possibility that Ethereum doesn't get below 4,200. The other day, we mentioned the golden pocket, right? But this was when we had the FOMC event. Golden pocket 7-8 is usually when you where you bounce. I mean, if you wanted to take this as a kind of a swing trade, you're taking along here based on the triangle speculation can be an option. But the ABC movement down is still a reality, and 𝗬𝗿 was pointing out this in the Legends Pro community. I was still very much vocal on why I'm holding that short position from all-time high, just because the entry is epic on the rejection. There is still that chance. The movement down here from, the highs at 4,700 here does look a bit impulsive. And 𝗬𝗿 was pointing this out, which, makes me a little bit concerned about, the triangle structure. We're just looking at this structure here, and you got a big wave down here, and a bit of choppiness in 4-5. So you got kind of 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5, and I'm like, oof, this being a flat, or a larger double zigzag, very much a possibility still. As long as you don't take out this high, just this structure down looks pretty aggressive, with a big volume move to the downside. So you got that gap here, which eventually you would label as your wave 3, right? You got your first waves, your big wave, and then your smaller waves to finish, right? That impulsive move. So it makes you think about, okay, how did we reject from all-time high? Well, we rejected with this choppiness, which has the potential of forming a contracting diagonal right over here. Everything, that's a green tick right there for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have the bounce, higher low, and this movement up, which, you know, gives you the possibility. We talked about the possible rejection that we would get here on Ethereum over a week ago, based on the fake out of the value area high and rejecting at the golden pocket 7/8 Fibonacci zone, which it literally swept the highs, got above the value area high, which is very common to get that fake out. You know, we said that golden pocket to 7/8 is a good rejection zone here to speculate on the larger ABC. Or, you know, well, you got the triangle eventually, which you form a higher low inevitably and then go to all-time high. But rejection point, fake out from the value area high, hitting golden pocket to the 7/8 zone to form that possible B wave. And when we move down from here, this actually looks pretty damn strong as an impulse. So do not be surprised, guys. You know, I kind of feel the bear here. I would be so bullish, guys, if we do get down below $4,000. I would be excited. I would be happy. I would be saying this is the moment to look for bottom formations and get into epic swing long positions. Will we get it? Maybe not. Maybe not. There is that triangle scenario, which is there, right? There is the triangle structure because we've developed a triangle throughout the last few weeks, and a triangle is very much possible in a wave 4. So maybe, guys, maybe we don't get that dip below 4K, but it would be completely natural to do so. Why would it be so natural? Because the movement up that we had throughout April as well, June and July, has been so epic to hit all-time high. It's been such an epic rally with no big major correction. And wave 4s are usually quite longer. Well, similar size or even a bit longer than your wave 2s. Unless you're taking this into consideration as your wave 2 and your wave 1 finishes here, which don't like it too much. But it would be a natural event if we were to basically get that rejection and come down here, guys. You know, it would not be bearish. I would be super bullish here, saying, right, we're looking for bottom formations, reversal signs. You know, even an anchored VWAP could be, you know, coming up to that zone. Let's take a look at the anchored VWAP from the low here. Boo, that's far away. That would be coming down to below 3,200. I wouldn't expect the price to come down that low, guys. But yeah, it's already invalidation. It would be an invalidation here for this fourth wave. 382 to the 50%, where we have this order block from the higher time frame, would be the sweet spot to really get excited to look for swing longs, guys. You know, as soon as we dip below $4,000, I would be even considering building a swing long position in this area with stop loss below the golden pocket. We'll have to see, guys. We'll have to see. But yeah, don't be surprised. When do we get confirmations of this? I have to say that if we do pump above, if we were to pump above the highs here, yeah, if you take out these highs, you're likely going to follow through. You're likely going to follow through, because I would then consider the triangle structure. It wouldn't make sense here based on timing. High chance that if this lower high is taken, I wouldn't consider this a ABC and then down. You know, I would be very, very, very confident that you're likely going to squeeze out if the lower highs here from last week are taken. That all-time high is going to be taken, very, very likely. So let's go through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. Let me know if you are bullish, if you are bearish. Let's go. Intraday scenarios have been talked about on Bitcoin, guys. If you are feeling good, juicy, aggressive. The other day on YouTube, we talked about the rejection from the weekly naked point of control just below 118k, guys. We talked about that. We talked about either sweeping the lows or sweeping the highs, getting to the naked point of control to get that rejection. Now, rejection is happening, guys, throughout that weekly naked point of control. So maybe if we do come down here and sweep up these lows, the reaction, if you trade above that weekly naked point of control, you got a nice little trading bouncing setup here to get at least to the session VWAP. I would expect a pretty decent relief rally. Okay, potentially 1,000, maybe 2,000. It might be the low. It might be an ABC flat, and then you come to the highs. Nobody knows, but it's a good level to react to. It's a good level for an entry point and stop loss beneath the low of the fake out. Ride it as you can if you get some strength, but you know the position, you know your stop loss. If you're trading beneath this level, you do not get into the trade. You do have that anchored VWAP from the pivot low that does provide very good support. Not this one, for goodness sake. Where is it? Where's that anchored VWAP? I must have deleted it by accident. The anchored VWAP here from the pivot low of the 1st of September is coming in below the weekly naked point of control. So I would only treat this level to long if you get above it, or if you get below it, the anchored VWAP from the 1st of September, which is kind of coming in with these higher lows, with the resistance support flip, guys. Anchored VWAP, treat it as an SFP level, right? You're beneath it, you're not interested. As soon as you get above it, bang, stop loss at the low. You want to get into that relief rally that might take 1 to 2 days. They're just good entry points, guys, right? They're just good entry points if you get the correct reaction. Get below it, get above it, you're in the game. You know where your stop loss is, you're managing risk. It's a good entry point. Let's go through the comment section. Staffer1, the legend himself, Pac-Man, Aditya, smash up the like button. Staffer1, let's go. We got the legends here, the moderators giving love and power. It is Friday, guys. 165 likes. You must be joking. Come on, legends. We can do better than that. I'm just providing analysis, scenarios, probabilities, legends. High probability we do hit all-time high, guys. Whoever's in swing longs from lower and has good spot bags on Bitcoin, everybody knows that. Bitcoin is bullish long term. We know that. Mid-term, yeah, we still have high probability in hitting all-time high, legends. What is spicy and interesting, which could be a little bit of a shakeout, would be that, three-wave structure down, okay? But for the moment, I mean, this could really extend as well a little bit longer. Elliott wave theory is just such a bitch sometimes. Excuse my language. But you do have that three-wave move up here. Could this be a flat? And then you have another zigzag up, and then it moves down. It's just, can be a little bit of a bitch sometimes, because regardless if this were to happen, because you do have a zigzag up that could form a W here. And yeah, this flat over here is not part of your fourth wave, but it's part of an X wave and then a Y wave to take out these highs, and then you form this W, X, and Y. The good thing about this is if you do form this larger zigzag up, flat, move up, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if this is a W zigzag, X in a flat, and then a zigzag up in your wave Y to sweep up the highs at 118K, or it is a wave 1, okay, a wave 2, a wave 3, a flat in 4, and then a wave 5. It doesn't matter which one happens. You realize that where you are looking for that bounce is at this 114 to 113.5k zone, where you have the weekly naked point of control and the anchored VWAP. And it's in your best interest to take these levels as a wall. You can pierce through the wall, but you need to see the price action get back above it, right? So the anchored VWAP becomes that wall of fake out, or the weekly naked point of control, which is sitting slightly higher at 114.2. So despite this being a 1, 2, 3, 4 flat 5, or a zigzag up, you get a flat in the middle here, gets everybody shaken out in a bit of what's going on here, and then another zigzag up here to form your Y. Well, it doesn't really matter if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or a WXY. Your X is a flat. This is a zone to bounce. This is a zone to bounce. Anybody that is excited, get those levels on the chart, get ready for your trading activity. Much love to everybody. Let's go through the comment section. Let's see how many likes we do get. Can we get to 200 likes? La puta madre. Is it possible? No, hombre. Let's go through the comment section. I got my very good friend here that brought me a coffee. Un café. Let's go. I'm feeling good. It's Friday. I'm going to a nice restaurant with the missus today. I hope you do have a great weekend, legends. I'll go through the comment section right away. Looking at a little bit of higher time frame scenarios here with the legends. It's Friday today, guys. Make sure to enjoy family time with friends. Don't get too drunk. Stay healthy. Eat good. Feel motivated. Let's go through the stream. Hey, Andy, my man. M. Umar, how are you doing, brother? Much love to you. Sunshine Girl. Andy is the king of Bitcoin analysis. Well, look. Let's say that I do have experience and I know how to position myself. It's not been an easy couple of weeks, guys. And if I show you my P&L from the last 30 days, you know, I'm still holding positions from weeks ago and I didn't position myself in the last 7 days. It's not been an easy, you know, it's not been an easy week, okay? I'm like, you know, where do I find the highest probability setups here? And sometimes you need to be patient. I mean, let's be honest. Shorting here at the weekly naked point of control was not a bad option yesterday, guys, when we're hitting those highs. Looking for double, triple tops. You know that, guys. You know when we like to look for double, triple tops. This is a double, triple top search zone. Okay? We love double, triple tops. We love double, triple bottoms. If they're bottoms, they're even better, guys. We love bottoms, guys. Right? Double bottom right over here was epic. I didn't catch the double bottom. I waited for the sign of strength, and then we joined later on. We explained this on YouTube. We got the change of structure and the movement down being very corrective. And this was the zone to, you know, get in, right? This area where we are at the moment with the weekly naked point of control and, you know, the point of control of the range is really a zone to look for double, triple tops. You have the golden pocket being hit. Man, this is the most respected fibs retracement in the entire world. The golden pocket is everywhere, guys. This is a zone where you want to speculate on the double, triple tops. There's no doubt about it, right? So we did get that double top yesterday. And, you know, maybe it's the high. Maybe it's the high. How many people were bearish down here? My goodness. Double bottom. It might be the bottom. It was the local bottom, at least for the last 2 weeks. Maybe. That is the high right there. You know, if you want to catch the high, you want to look for double, triple tops. That's no doubt. If we come up to the highs here, I would be interested in the rejection again of this high, guys. I'm telling you, you should also. Let's go through the comment section. People are having enough here. Stop Andy being such a clown on the live streams. Just trying to make it exciting, guys. I'm getting drunk tonight 100%, says Paolo. Much love. Be safe, my man. Much love to you. Thank you very much, Andy Wes. Much love to you, my man. Thanks for joining. Pac-Man, the legend himself. Mark Dutch was here. Andy Pandy, Ever Candy. Much love to you, Mark Dutch. He was around. He only came in to say that. He's probably too busy. Bottoms for me, says MMI. Absolutely. Baby G, for BTC at all-time highs, assuming we trimming off the top, is there a level you are looking at on the downside to tear back in along during the off season? I'm just thinking if won't be like previous bear runs. Wow, I mean, if you are talking about the bear market, there will be a bear market, guys. There will be a bear market. How aggressive will that bear market be? Well, you know, nobody knows at the end of the day, but there will be a bear market. And when you understand seasonality, we are at the end stages of the 4-year cycle theory. It's the last stage. When you understand nothing goes up forever, there's nothing that goes up forever. There's nothing that has such a major uptrend without an immediate crash down, okay? Which eventually recovers later on. That's all good. But when you realize that you have the first initial legs to the upside and then the explosive waves up, right? Which we're labeling here the wave 3, you know, in middle stages, you know, maybe 4-5. You realize that we are at the end stages here. It would be a low probability unless there's a major catalyst, guys, and the dollar has a 10% inflation and money printer goes on like crazy, which I would not think that is going to happen. You know that I think Jerome Powell is more in favor of getting the US into a recession period than actually giving inflation to the dollar, right? He's very, you know, obviously we're getting a few interest rate cuts, but protecting the dollar at all costs is better long term. Short term, it will be a mess, right? Short term, yes, you have the risk of a breakdown, recession, but that's all good. That's all healthy. You need to get back to, you know, trying to build a healthy economy that's not, you know, pumped with you know, with inflation, right? With paper money. So I think obviously, you know, it's in their best favor to protect the dollar, that right, and get into a smaller recession. But when you realize, you know, out of topic here completely of your question, you realize that this bull run has been, you know, it's been an epic bull run, guys, right? It's been an epic bull run. We are expecting another all-time high, but I would not expect insane follow through here. I would not expect insane follow through, just because the hype, the good news, ETF, that's already happened. So what we are expecting here is potentially another 4-5, another 4th and 5th wave. Just because the movement down is corrective, but there's no major bullish case scenario. I mean, if anybody that believes that this is a 1-2-1-2 or a 1-2-3-4-5 to finish your 3rd wave, and then you know, you're still in your 5th wave, which is going to be an extension 5th wave, and this is a wave 1 and 2, and you're going to form you know, more 3-4-5s here to have an extension 5th wave. I mean, it is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is the digital gold, right, of this era. We cannot underestimate Bitcoin, that is for sure. We cannot underestimate it, because sky's the limit. And an extension fifth wave, it's low probability, just because they're not common, and just a natural impulsive move where you have your biggest waves in the middle, right, to form that third wave is more natural. And then your fifth wave is, 4-5 is getting exhausted. Your 4-5 is getting exhausted, is the most common thing that would happen in a bull run. So if you ask me about a good zone to re-enter, I do think that Bitcoin is going to get that 60-70% crash at least, right? Well, correction, if you wish, because yeah, this is a crash, but at the end of the day, it's a higher time frame correction. When you do take a look at the percentage, obviously the percentage of the bear market does decrease as well as it's getting more mature. It's a more mature market. This was just about 77%. Market's getting more mature. People are having Bitcoin in their portfolio. We would expect a lighter bear market, because there would be a lot of institutional interest of buying, right, in a correction. So when we go with the theory of diminishing returns, but also diminishing bear markets, because the previous bear market from this one, we did have over an 85% correction when we take a look at 2018 and 19, which we don't have here on the Bybit chart, but it was a bigger correction based on percentage. This one was smaller. So when we take a 5-10% cut, at least on the bear market, where the market tops out, we would assume that a 50 to 70% correction would be the new normal, the new norm, right, of the bear market. Wherever the top is, we are expecting another high that could hit 130, maybe 140. But you need to go with the percentage bear markets diminishing as well, which, going through a theory here based on in between 50% and 70% would eventually take you down to in between 50 and 30K. 50 and 30K would be like the zone for the bear market. So eventually that would be the zone of interest to really, consider buying Bitcoin if that does happen throughout 2026, 2027. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be a lot of people saying that we are not going to get the bear market because of ETFs and because of institutional money. Bear markets, if shit hits the fan, Bitcoin's never been in a proper recession, only the C19 crash back in 2020, and it got hurt. It did get hurt a lot in that event, which was this dump right over here. So, Bitcoin will get hurt in a major catalyst, okay? When institutions are involved, they can absolutely nuke the price to wherever they want, basically. This is the thing about the theory of we are not going to get the bear market because of adoption and because of institutions. And the market is moved by leverage, guys. It's a good point. It's not because some whale, wanted to buy 1 million Bitcoin. There's always OTC, and most is OTC. If I have a Bitcoin, okay, or 2 Bitcoin, and I want to sell you 2 Bitcoin, I can just transfer you that Bitcoin. You give me cash, or give me gold, or whatever, or give me a house, and that's it. You're not going to have that impact in the market because I have it. It's in my wallet. So there's a lot of OTC movements that you do not have any effect on the open market. Most of the effect in the open market is highly leveraged, which moves the price. And when there's institutions involved, having that belief that we would not get a bear market because of adoption and because of ETFs and institutions is very, 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 very common for retail type of thinking. Anyway, it's a perfect and relative answer, my man. Gracias. Just thinking ahead. It's my 3rd cycle, yet first on leverage, so it's been quite an interesting one. Baby G, absolutely awesome. Much love to you, brother. Staffer one, I love me some price, Mr. Life Changer. Much love to everybody. Most of YouTubers keep relying on indicators. Indicators depend on the price action, not the other way around. Andy surely knows how the market moves, not just hyping. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we try to be realistic and we try to protect the people that are coming in at resistance, right? I do have a message from someone today saying that he longed Solana at 252. I mean, you might, yeah, this is the thing. Not a bad, not a good entry on Solana. Not a good entry on Solana at, you might be lucky, and because it's so bullish, it might come back up. But I would want to get out. This is such a bad idea to long here while you're breaking up from this high. Such a bad idea. I just want to be getting the people protective if they are using leverage. So I expect higher levels for Solana. So if it's on spot, you're still good. But what is interesting about the Bitcoin dominance is that we are hitting an interesting level of support. Okay. And it's very, very choppy price action. You are already seeing the exhaustion of the dominance here. Which is, I already saw the possibility of the dominance. 59, 58, 57 was not expecting that low, but you are really seeing a bit of exhaustion. And I think a relief rally, which would only be good for a correction and position yourself again on some altcoins, would be more than natural from here. Just being aware of the situation, where we at with the dominance and with Bitcoin and Ethereum. But if you are trying to time every single movement on the lower time frame, sometimes it's better to zoom out and understand that the highest probability for Bitcoin is hitting all-time high. The highest probability for Ethereum, regardless if we're forming a triangle or an ABC, right? We're just being aware of the potential that it could happen. It would only bring a better opportunity, but highest probability for Ethereum is to take out all-time high also, regardless, right? Now, you do have the triangle scenario that could be a possibility. And the ABC is still a scenario as long as you stay below this lower high over here. If you take that lower high, then yeah, likely then that's it. Fourth wave's in, and we're looking for that fifth wave. Very possible. I mean, there is the ABC chance, but we will not speculate on that just as of yet. Legends, much love to everybody for joining the stream. Make sure to enjoy your Friday evening. Remember that you do have incredible bonuses with the links down below for Weeks. Weeks is an incredible exchange, 20% deposit bonus. You do have also Bluffin with all the great perks, okay, depending on the volume that you move. These are all the bonuses that you can get, and you can get access if you sign up and do the minimum deposit to join the VIP community where we share the different trades that we're getting in. I'm mainly focusing on swing trade setups. Dylan is focusing on altcoins that he's absolutely been crushing it in the VIP group, guys, with that Avalanche latest long from last week. Absolutely crushing it right there with the altcoins. Legends, much love to you. Thank you very much, Pac-Man. Thank you very much, moderators, for joining. Enjoy your Friday. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.